Book 1, Sky Dream Icy Worm. Chapter 4.3, Thunderbolt Baby. The previous thunderous dragon claw had only been used to make the mandala snake move, while the net formed from BB's second soul skill, Vigorous Thunderbolt, was the true trap. As long as the mandala snake was trapped by the net of lightning, the thunderous dragon claw could catch up to it from behind. Even if the mandala snake wasn't severely wounded, it would at least give BB a decisive opportunity. However, a 1,000-year soul beast's strength was absolutely not that simple. As the lightning web closed in on the mandala snake, it spat out a pink mist from its mouth, which caused a smell 10 times sweeter than earlier to spread out. Tanya took Hao with her as she rapidly retreated, for fear that they would be affected by the mist. This was also the first time that worry had appeared on her charming face. When the lightning arrows formed from the Vigorous Thunderbolt skill were sprayed by that pink mist, it was as if they'd been submerged. Their might was still present, but it had instantly become fragmented. The mandala snake displayed its valiant side at this moment. Its body suddenly straightened out in midair, and it proceeded to powerfully smash through the lightning web. It had unexpectedly managed to open a gap in the web made by Vigorous Thunderbolt. When it flew out from the web, it swung its tail, causing the pink light at the tip of its tail to brighten. It then whipped the thunderous dragon claw behind it, loudly shattering BB's first soul skill. However, BB's attacks weren't completely useless. As someone who had one of the strongest beast souls, his attack power was at the peak of soul masters at the same rank as him. Although the mandala snake was valiant, a fine layer of lightning had appeared on its body after it had consecutively broken through 2 of BB's soul skills. When it landed on the ground, it was unable to continue releasing attacks. At the same time, BB didn't proceed to launch any more attacks. He didn't dare to inhale the toxic pink mist that had spread out into the air either. As he rapidly retreated, a porcelain bottle appeared in his hand. After dumping a pill out for himself, he threw the bottle towards Tanya. Tanya grabbed the porcelain bottle and immediately dumped out 2 pills. She ate 1 pill, and shoved the other into Hao's mouth. "BB, I'll help you." While chewing the pill, Tanya said. BB shook his head and replied, "This fellow is very troublesome. I'm afraid that I'll have to plan on a battle of attrition. There's a very high possibility of soul beasts appearing in the surroundings, so you should be careful. I'll take him on alone. Also, take care of Hao." This was the second time that BB had reminded Tanya to take care of Hao, which caused a warm feeling to surge through his heart. Throughout his entire life, BB was the first person other than his mother to treat him this well. Due to this, he couldn't help but be moved. "I want to help eldest senior brother, I'm not trash." Hao rapidly poured his soul force into his spirit eyes, and the soul skills that he'd just obtained immediately flashed through his mind. A faint golden light appeared in his deep blue eyes once again, and his jade white soul ring started to rise up from his feet. If you looked at them just from the surface, you couldn't see any signs of anything happening. However, the next moment, both BB and Tanya's bodies simultaneously shook, an astonished look appearing in their eyes. From their point of view, time seemed to have slowed down. Everything around them had become exceptionally clear, and a large amount of information instantly appeared inside of their minds wherever they looked. When BB looked attentively at the mandala snake, the distance between him and the snake appeared in his mind. Even the minute changes in strength from every one of its muscle appeared in his mind. All of the subtleties and minute details had appeared clearly in the depths of his mind. Not only that, but they didn't even need to use their eyes to see anything in a 30-meter radius around them. All of their surroundings had appeared inside of their minds as 3-dimensional shapes. Furthermore, any subtle changes that occurred would immediately be reflected in their minds. This was, no matter whether it was BB or Tanya, they both immediately thought of Hao. Was this Hao's first soul skill? Why could it be so mystical? With the assistance of a detection ability like this, facing any opponent would be far, far too effortless, especially with an opponent like the mandala snake. which was a soul beast specialized in speed. For a person like Bibi who had sufficient attack power, there wasn't anything else that could be as helpful as an ability to predict his opponent's movements and seize a key opportunity. This 10-year Soul Ring's skill was actually so strong? Its auxiliary ability was this outstanding? Sure enough, it deserved its name as a rarely seen mutated spiritual attribute Martial Soul. Hua Yuhao naturally didn't know that both Bibi and Tang Yi had credited the mysticality of the skill that he was currently using on his mutated Martial Soul. However, in reality, he wasn't using one soul skill, but two. The two skills that he was using were the first skill that the Million-Year Soul Ring had given him, Spiritual Detection, combined with the second skill, Spiritual Sharing. These two skills were auxiliary-type skills, and this was the first time that Hua Yuhao had used them. Although he hadn't been able to completely comprehend the subtleties behind the two skills, he was still able to exhibit most of their enormous effects. With the current strength of his body, the might of the Sky Dream Icy Worm's soul rings were roughly equivalent to that of a 400-year soul beast's. Because of this, the range of his spiritual detection and spiritual sharing was roughly 30 meters. However, with his current power, the maximum number of people that he could simultaneously share his spiritual detection ability with was 3. His strength wouldn't be enough if there were more people. His soul force consumption while using these two skills wasn't great, but Hua Yuhao had to use a certain amount of spiritual power too. It could be said that he was using both spiritual power and soul force to jointly support these two skills. With his current level of cultivation, lasting at least an hour wouldn't be a problem at all. The exact amount of time that he could last could only be discovered later on, through testing. A low rumble suddenly reverberated from Bibi's body. His whole body emitted strong, violet blue lightning, and the scales on his right arm rapidly spread outwards towards his body, encasing the right part of his chest within them. This caused the aura released from his body to instantly rise abruptly. His third soul ring, the purple one, also released a dazzling radiance at this moment. This was the skill from his 1000-year soul ring, Thunderous Fury. As a person who possessed a beast soul with the strongest attack power, his third soul skill, Thunderous Fury, was capable of instantly raising the effects of Bibi's soul force attacks by more than 50%. Furthermore, the strength of his lightning attribute had also doubled. Although this wasn't a direct attack skill, it still managed to increase Bibi's condition to an extraordinarily strong realm. Even some four-ringed soul ancestor experts wouldn't be his match if they had weaker martial spirits. Although Bibi wasn't that old, his amount of combat experience was extremely plentiful. After obtaining the support of Hua Yuhao's spiritual detection and spiritual sharing, he knew that his chance had come. Since he couldn't be sure of how long Hua Yuhao could maintain this state, he immediately decided to use all of his strength at once by releasing his strongest ability. A violet blue lightning bolt curled around the dragon claw that his right hand had turned into, and a thunderous dragon claw about twice the size of the previous one appeared around his hand. However, Bibi didn't directly release it this time. Instead, his body flashed as he pounced towards the 1000-year mandala snake. The mandala snake was also crafty. Its 1000 years of cultivation had caused it to possess a certain amount of intelligence. The aura released from Bibi's body had already caused it to feel a considerably high level of danger. Since itself unable to harm its opponent anymore, it suddenly spat out a mouthful of toxic mist towards Bibi, before turning around to run away. Humphrey. Bibi snorted coldly, and the light in his eyes suddenly turned slightly profound. A layer of fragmented lightning suddenly burst outwards from his body, forcibly dispersing the toxic mist. At the same time, the thunderous dragon claw in his right hand shot out towards the space diagonally to the left of him.